Hi, I'm Globe, and this is Verbal Tea. Welcome to Verbal Tea, the journaling podcast where we share entries and discuss them about certain topics so that we can engage in honest and healthy dialogue that focuses more on our inner voices than the voices around us. Today, in the honor of tax season, we are discussing money and success. And we will be discussing what we love that is for free, what our first memories of money are, as well as how art and money relate or if they don't relate at all. And today I am bringing in one of my favorite influencers and rising stars online. I met her through another podcast. She does it all. She listens, she crochets, she coaches, and she sets your soul on fire in all the best ways possible. Please allow me to introduce Harley Hendrixx.
Girl, I was looking around for somebody else. Who is she introducing? Thank you. Oh my goodness. I appreciate you. I thank you. I thank the beautiful soul that brought us to each other. And I am so happy to be here. It is an honor to be not only a part of your show, but the beginning of it. Come through. I appreciate you so much, my love.
Of course, I appreciate you too, and I appreciate the beautiful soul that linked us together as well. It was a no-brainer to have you. It is the first Saturday of Women's National Month.
Yes, come on, Women's History.
And this is the perfect spot for you. You belong here. You're going to set the right tone. And so we are just going to get into it.
Okay.
The first thing I want our listeners to know about you is, what is your relationship with journaling?
So I am a frequent journaler. The reason being is because, as you said in my intro, I'm a professional listener. So I take in a lot of other people's emotions, a lot of other people's journeys, and a lot of their stories. And because of that, I have to have a place to put my story. It's so funny, and maybe people know, because most therapists are the worst, therapy patients, right? I don't really care to be listened to by other people. And so I have a very intimate relationship with journaling of all kinds. I have my little digital journal right here on my phone. If I need to quickly do something, I have a written journal that sits in my meditation space, where I journal in the morning after I do my morning exercises. And then I do verbal sometimes. If I'm really angry, I will do like notes. Apple Notes has the option of just like dictating. Do a dictating type of journal entry, just because if I'm really mad and I can't do any typing, I have to get it off of me. But whenever I'm heightened in my emotions, whether good or bad, I'm definitely taking to somewhere and writing it.
I love that. I love how you said that, whenever you're heightened in your emotions, not just bad, but positive. It is so important to record those positive
Yes.
emotions as well.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna write down a win. I'm gonna write down a win. And honestly, every win that has ever been like excited and shared with social media first get like shared in a mirror. Like I do this probably what people consider a weird thing, but it's my thing. I think also just because I have DID, so I want to make sure that I honor my altars. When I have good news, I say it in the mirror first, and then
Okay.
write it, and then I tell it, I call my mom or whoever is, the first point of contact, and then I tell the internet. But the first entity that I interact with any news, good, bad, or otherwise, is myself. I look in the mirror and I speak whatever it is, good or bad, that's going on in my life.
I love that. So you take a victory tour. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And that's so important. And that's why I wanted you on here, because anytime you speak, you can tell that you're someone who spent some alone time with your thoughts. Because everything you say, I don't want to say it's calculated, but it's thought out. It's balanced. Everything you say always has balance, and that only comes with reflecting
Yes,
and
ma'am.
not just instantly hopping on a thought.
Yeah, I don't think I have rarely ever spoken a thought that, as the water makers say, hasn't been at least 2 times distilled.
Mm,
I don't like to speak without knowing.
mhm,
I don't like to speak without being sure of. And so, if I don't know something about something or if I don't care about it, you will not hear me speak on it. And you will hear me be very transparent about I don't know. But when I do know, I'm not going to shut up about it because I know that I know that I know.
Right? I say I'm a professional lurker. Uh, People think I know a lot because I only speak on what I do know.
Mhm,
What I don't know, I am just absorbing information and cross-referencing and learning about it. You will not hear me ramble about something that I don't know.
mhm. Same.
All right. So you have a real relationship with journaling, and anyone who follows her, you will see what the benefits of it is in live time daily. Um,
Well,
my next question is for you is have you ever explored these prompts that we wrote about this week? Have you ever explored them before?
Um, yes and no. So when I started getting serious into my relationship, or even when I've gotten into like friendship battles about money,
Mhm.
I paused and kind of talked to myself about my relationship with money.
Mm,
Really, it was in the reflection from losing my college best friend. So
mm,
when I was in college, I was best friends with one of the most amazing women in this world, and our friendship lasted for 10 years until actually a month before I lost my sister.
mm,
Our relationship came to a head actually over money. Um,
mm,
and after we separated, I really sat with that and I was wondering like why was I so aggressive in this situation? What was going on? And that was kind of that first conversation with myself of like I'm afraid of certain elements of money, and it
mm.
comes from, my upbringing and things of that nature. So I think that was probably my first time really engaging with the conversation of what does money mean to me. And so not as deep as your prompts were really great because they gave me an opportunity to do even more reflection, but I feel like I had a very surface level conversation with myself about money after losing that friendship.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. But you anytime you speak
Yeah.
about loss to me, you always tell me how you let that transition propel you.
Yeah.
And
I
that's such
still have to change my relationship with loss because I think
mm,
as a black woman living not only living in America, but as a black woman living in the inner city of Chicago, I have experienced loss at a high rate since a
mm,
little girl. And it was a moment in my life where I was like, if I don't change my relationship with this
mhm,
experience, I'm going to hate the world around me. And I love love. And so
mhm,
even when I speak about like losing my big sister or when I speak about friendships that are no longer here, like 1,000%, I have taken so much time out of my day to figure out how is this growing me? How is this healing me? And how can I still be a blessing to the world around me? Because I remember a time where I was like an agent for chaos because of
mm,
what I was experiencing because I felt like fuck it, everything and everybody's gonna leave anyway, so let me act a fool. And
mm,
I think to be on the completely other end of that spectrum and to hear someone say that to me, it makes me know that like you're sometimes when you're in a growth work and you're working it's a thankless job because you are so hard on yourself and you're like you're not you it's okay you could do more you could do more. So today to just hear you tell me that every time you hear me talk about loss I don't sound sad, I was like ooh for real because I'm still beating myself up about some things that I've grown away from as it pertains to my relationship with loss.
Wow. Well, I just admire you because anytime you've spoken about it, it's not that you're not sad. It's just you don't center that. You still center life. You still center growth in those conversations. And that is amazing. That's amazing. Whew.
Thank you.
All right. So let me stop gushing over you. All right. So the first thing I'm going to ask is what is the prompt that stuck out to you the most that you wrote about most about?
The prompt that I wrote the most about, I think it was a tie between my first memory of money and then does money determine the weight of my art? I think that those were
Mm,
the two biggest ones that I wrote the most about because there were so many layers to that answer. Like the more I wrote, the more I thought about.
yes.
I was like, ah, crap. Like so, yeah. No, I think those were the ones. Those were the bigger ones.
Yes, the memory one just sent me on a rabbit hole as well. So I would love to hear what you wrote. Share more with us about that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to paraphrase because I'm a paraphraser. But my first memory of money was, first of all, learning that I grew up in poverty. Had no idea because my mother was so amazing. And not only was she so amazing, I was the youngest of the family, and a lot of things
Mm,
were hidden from me.
mm,
And so a lot of these fun memories that I have in my past were times where my mother was not in a good place with her money. For instance, one time I came home and the ceiling in our house was full of those glow in the dark stars from Walmart.
mm-hmm.
And there were what's that? Sleeping bags on the floor, and my mom had this whole setup, and she's like, "We're gonna go camping indoors."
Wow.
8, 9 years old Harley thought she had the coolest mom in the world. 18, 20-year-old Harley later found out that our lights were off. And my mother
Mm,
did not want me to know that our lights were off. So my mother staged this whole let's camp for the weekend because she was about to get them back on the next, I think it's like Monday. She was like,
mm-hmm.
getting them back on. But it was this whole indoor camping, let's have fun. My mom, I think my mom is actually the reason that I'm the fairy that I am today because a lot of my life was imaginary. Like I joke and laugh and say like I'm a professional imaginary friend, but my mom, she did not fully understand the world outside of our door.
Mm,
But inside of that house, like shout out to Brandy and Cinderella, like in my own little corner, in my own little chair, inside that house, I was everything. I was the princess, I was the
mhm,
dragon, I was the castle if I wanted to be. And my mother affirmed it. And so she kind of create, while it was an amazing experience for a child, right? So that gave me a beautiful childhood. It also created rose colored glasses for the young
mm,
that grew up. And so once I kind of got through life and figured out, that I had to get more realistic about like money and life and things of that nature, it got a little bit more real. But my very first memory of like money for real was like finding out that I was raised in poverty. I think that
mm,
was like a overarching for that's why this was such a big right for me because it was like then I thought about when I was also that same age and my mom used to give me a lot of candy. I was the baby. And
mhm,
wasn't the person who cared to waste things, and I knew that I was going to get some more candy. So I was an entrepreneur even then. Because my mom would give me way too much candy, and I'm not about to get this candy away for free. So now,
right.
so now I'm selling candy at the school. And then later on in life, I get my mom gives me the CD burner, and this is back when you had to, get on LimeWire. The kids
Mm,
showing my age. Back in my day,
remember that. I remember that.
a whole lot of music, like good reputable people know. But I used to make the mixtapes. I made some of my friends their very first Chris Brown album. Like I have been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I didn't understand that my mother, as a hairstylist that worked in our living room,
Mhm,
modeling entrepreneurship for me. But because we were not in the day and age that we are today, where that is elevated and that is recognized as a real source of income, I was ashamed of my mother. I,
mm,
I was ashamed of the fact that my mom didn't get up and go to work like everybody else's mom. I didn't understand that. I'm like, my mom doesn't get up and go to work. I go to school and I leave her working. And when I come back, she's still working. And I didn't understand that she was an entrepreneur. And she was actually a smart entrepreneur because
mhm,
you're not paying no booth rent. You just paying your rent, and you doing what you need to do. She even practiced nepotism right in our face. She trained both of my older sisters to braid hair. Them three women used to sit in my house every morning. I would wake up, my mom and my two sisters in the living room with two people waiting out, and I was able to clean up hair for them for money. So from a very early age, there we had an amazing relationship with money, but ignorance and
mhm,
propaganda and what people want you to think about yourself made me think that I did not live as beautiful of a life as I lived. But now, as a 32-year-old entrepreneur, I find myself going back to some of the things that I learned from my mother in those years where I was probably the most ashamed to call myself her daughter. And every time I think about it, I apologize to her. I let her know my truth, and I let her
mhm.
know where I came from and where I am today, so she can understand, number one, just the evolution of the way that I see her, and then two, just so she can get the affirmation that I didn't give her as a little girl.
That I love it. So it came full circle. It's so and I've learned that when I was writing as well. My first relationship with money was um, Tooth Fairy. My father accidentally he gave me a $5 bill for losing my first tooth.
So what's the tooth fairy rate? We didn't do that. My mom, because my mom, I've never had the tooth. I don't even know why. I got to talk to her about that. She owe me some money. Anyway,
So I don't even know what the
but what's the going rate? And you're a parent now. What do you?
so I gave my daughter $5 for a tooth because I think that is appropriate now.
Okay,
My husband thinks we should give her more next time. So the rate is debatable, but
okay.
1999. Just age myself. 1999, $5 was a lot. That was the world because I could buy my favorite snacks
Mhm.
for $1. I could get my little 25-cent Debbie cake, the little 25-cent hubby, the Huggies, you know what I'm talking about, with the
Yeah.
tin lids, and then everything was 25 cents. If I wanted to be special, I could get 50 cents for my honey bun, and then
Mom.
get the soda and the chips, but it was all $1. So $1 was sufficient.
Yeah.
Um, and that's how I learned the cost of money. I always knew how much everything costs. And that's what it sent me down the rabbit hole of realizing is since I was a child, I have always known the dollar amount, and I always round up to the nearest five for
Okay.
for everything. And
Yes, you always got a little bit more. I like that.
yes, I round up to the nearest five for everything. And my strongest memories are really knowing how much it costs and church. Church has so
Mhm.
much to do with still to this day my relationship with money. There is a lot of charity involved and a lot of confidence involved because even if you didn't have anything, it still meant more for you to walk down that line and touch the collection plate than to just sit there and not participate at all.
You know what? That's my first time. So the church so my mother, I think my mother's, she bounced around so much trying to figure out what her true faith was. And I think even her experience with faith is why I kind of grew up to be kind of like an omnibus of sorts. Because we've
Mhm,
experienced some of everything. We were, we kind of dabbled in Jehovah's Witness for a while. We were never baptized. We, did some study.
mhm,
My brother, he was a pastor for a while at like a non-denominational kind of Baptist type church. I've been to like super Southern churchy Baptist church, and never have I heard what you said today, where it's better for everybody to stand up and even touch the collection plate. I've been in church settings where the only people that stood up were people that had something in their hand, and it was almost a shameful thing. The church that my brother preached at, and even he had to kind of emancipate himself from certain parts of it, they were a business before they were a place of refuge.
mm,
I could tell it because it was to the point where when you heard the song for the worship, you didn't even feel comfortable being in your seat. You would go to the restroom because the shame that would fall upon you for not even having $1 was ridiculous. But to hear you today say that there are entities where at least come and tap with the willingness to give when you are able to, that shifts my perspective a lot. And I think that's the reason why I don't stonewall my vision and my view on organized religion, because I
mm.
do know that all of these things are precious and beautiful until they're touched by humans who don't understand them. So we act out of our own wicked perception. And I love that what you just said today has opened my eyes, and it's shifted my perspective in a huge way, that there are entities here that understand that some people want to, but they just don't have it.
I mean, that's how it used to be when I grew up. Once, the recession hit, things kind of shifted.
Hmm.
They shifted with the economy. But when I was growing up, my first initial memories were that the pastor would say, if everyone gives a little, no one has to give a lot.
Mm.
And it was very community focused. So my relationship with money, that's what's still instilled in me. Is still community focused. Um, I want to always have enough for my family. Always want to have enough for my friends. I feel bad if I can't contribute to mutual aid. And I still to this day give more than I should
Mm.
sometimes. um, and that's a whole other conversation, but that is just my memories of money. I receive more than I needed for losing one tooth. And
Mm.
although my father was honest with me about it, he still ended up spending more than he initially planned to give me anyway. When we split that $5 up in real time, I
Mhm.
still got extra treat, you know?
Yes.
Um, and that's my relationship with money is all about it's charity and pride. Um, I do feel ashamed if I don't have anything to give.
Mm.
And that's definitely something I still battle. I feel ashamed if I don't have anything to give because I remember being in pews and people opening up their wallets, scraping down the bottom of their purses just to give my brother and I and my stepsisters and I a dollar, a quarter, so we can walk up there with something.
Up there, yeah. No, I feel that. I think my experience with people abusing the community mindset has made me a lot less willing to give and a lot less guilty about not giving.
Mm,
But I don't think it changes my fact that when I have it to give, I give in abundance. And I
mhm,
think that folks like yourself and to an extent me, because I won't say that I give the way you give, but I'm gonna touch the hem of your garment.
mhm,
That is the reason why, and I'm more than sure that even if you've had a moment, you've never had a situation, I can almost bet in your life where you were completely down and out. And because what I've realized is that the relationship that we all must have with money is a reciprocal one.
mm,
If I have it to give, I'm gonna give, and every time I need it, it finds its way to me. I've
yep,
I've realized that because I went from being very tight fist to being a little bit more loose, way too loose. And then I feel like what I have right now is a hefty medium. I am 100% excited for all of the adventures and things that I'm doing right now to take off so I can be able to be more of a blessing to the people that I love. But I'm also at a place where I understand that I won't get there if I'm constantly shelling
mhm,
out and I'm not actually building. It's like if I know that I have to be the vehicle that takes us wherever we're going, whether it be with my family or maybe certain friends of mine that might not have this level of drive, I have to, for a season or two, say no. And the people that are going to make it through that season or two, they don't even know. Like when everything that I'm doing, because I believe in everything that I'm doing, and I believe that everything that I'm doing is going to result in the ultimate necessity of wealth. I stopped saying that everything that I'm going to do is make me $1 billion and $1 million, because living in a capitalist society, in order for me to acquire that much, I would probably have to become something that I don't believe in and I don't agree with. So I don't say that I want to be a millionaire. I say that I am going to have the amount of resources necessary to live my life the way that I want to. And when
yes,
I do have those necessary resources, there are people who will never have to worry about anything a day in their life. But those are the people who weathered the storm through these few seasons of no's. Because recently my answer has been no. And there are people who love me still because there was a time when my answer was yes in abundance and they haven't forgotten that.
mhm.
There are people who are gone now because my yes was the only condition of our love, and I'm okay with that.
I love that, yes, and I have learned that in the past few years, especially becoming a mother. But those people never forgot when I had all disposable income,
Mm,
and they understand my seasons, and they pour into me, through other currencies that I definitely need, and that's a whole other conversation. I went down the rabbit hole of realizing that money is just a means to an end. There are a plethora of other currencies every day that I'm exchanging with other people that I'm needing to give to myself and to others. And so I really needed to touch on this topic because of what I've discovered
mm,
about money and currency.
yes.
So
I love
look at
that.
this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for explaining that. I think it's important that people know because I do still battle with the shame,
Mhm.
but my community is so supportive.
Yes.
They're like, You got this, mama. I understand." And
Mhm.
I'm always gonna give what I can give. Oh, but I am in a building stage. My family and I are in the building stage. We have some bigger goals for ourselves
Mhm.
that we wanna build up to. So it has limited what I can give in that way.
Yeah. And then you just realize, like, and this is what the biggest thing that made me become a little less open fist is not at all in an arrogant way, but I have the same 24 hours as any other person living this world. And if I am finding a way to do all the things that life throws at me and give to you, and you're not finding a way with the things that I give to you to create a system where it can be reciprocal, and if maybe I don't have it, you can give it to me and it can bounce back, then why can I, number one, feel bad about not being able to, and then
Mm.
why would I put myself in a position where I'm constantly taking care of you? Because that's what it comes down to if we start looking at the necessities of certain people, and this is not all people, because there are some
Mhm.
who just need the help or what have you. But if I'm consistently feeding into you in a financial manner, and you're not even pulling my coattail to say, hey, what side hustles are you doing, what are you doing in life, that life is as expensive for me as it is for you. Like, I'm not going to some magical grocery store where eggs don't cost how much eggs cost at the grocery store you're going to. So I hear your sad story when you call me and you tell me you just need $10 because this and that, but I have a list of that thing too. And if I'm finding a way to show up for myself and the world around me and you're not, eventually I cannot keep giving to you.
That again, that can open up a whole nother conversation because the most charitable people I have known my entire life are single Black mothers.
Mm-hmm.
They have so much to juggle, so
Mm-hmm.
much to juggle, so much to provide for and care for financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically. However, they are always pouring out. And so
Yep.
you do have to assess, how can I better utilize those same 24 hours that they have?
Absolutely.
If we want people to start taking their capes off, we've got to provide some win for ourselves.
Absolutely. I agree.
And like you touched on it earlier, where, hey, if I'm giving you this, what resources are you tapping into? Because we're not just giving money. That's another thing. We don't just give money. We give resources.
Yeah.
You give the person a fish and you teach them how to fish. And you teach them how to fish. um, and give them the skills and the tools to do so. But if they're not using the bait, they're not using anything, and they're just coming back with an open plate at a certain point.
Yeah, you just gotta, like, I tell people, I had a friend, she was joking, but I think she was serious. She was like, can you make me something for free? Talking about for crochet.
Hmm.
I'll be honest, last year, because I was just so excited about it and I hate clutter, I would finish something and just be like, call somebody, hey, it's on its way to your house. Because I didn't want it in my home. This year, I'm just like, no, like, I put my heart and soul in everything that I create. And not only do I put my heart and soul in everything that I create, this is some quality stuff. So, like, no, I can't do that for you. And she was like, well, I don't know if I can afford to buy anything from you. I said, well, that's okay. My mother has a crazy yarn stockpile. I'll give you a bundle of yarn and give you a lesson. And now you can do what you need to do. And then, of course, like you said, in true people nature, it's kind of like, no, I don't want that. But that's kind of also the people I differentiate. If I can't teach you to fish and you take the lesson, then I'm probably not going to give you a fish.
Right. I mean, because it's not just teaching you, it's giving you all the skills,
Mm,
giving you all that you can give. And that's what my community is. It's multi-tiered resources, multi-tiered.
I love that.
And it's not just about money. So let me go to the next topic because we can discuss this at
Yeah,
length.
we
I
can.
am very passionate about currency.
I love it.
The next one I do want to get into, because you are an entrepreneur, in your your voice is art. Your voice is art. Of course, you crochet as well, and that is an art as well, but your voice and your time, it's always labor. You're one of those people that no matter who you're speaking with, you are pouring into them at that moment. And so I'm very, very happy that you did decide to write about art in your relationship with money, because as someone who was constantly breathing working art, breathing working labor in every interaction, I have to know what your relationship is with it.
Honestly, kind of what you said earlier today, sort of answers that question. I look at money as a means to an end because I understand that I need it in order
Mhm,
to survive in this world. If I did not need the fiat, actual dollar currency to survive, the art that you speak about would be my only currency. I've
mhm,
even been on a podcast with my partner and I said, before I turn 35 or before I leave this earth, there is going to be a time in my life where everywhere I go, my money is going to be no good because of the attributes of my character and the love that I provide to people. I'm going to go come into restaurants, and these people who have built these restaurants off of the love and the motivation that I gave to them are like, you cannot pay. Here is a plate of food. You know what I mean? And I've always believed that the energy that I foster and that I've garnered, like I don't look at my energy as luck or a absent isolated gift. Like, this is work. The woman
Mhm.
that I am today is work. I will never sit back and be lucky to be a good person or lucky to have this energetic field. I worked on the energy that I have today, and so I know that it is valuable, and I know that it is currency on its own. However, I know that we don't live in a world where it is recognized and honored as currency, because there are people who don't want to do that internal work, that have the resources to be able to contact and connect to financial sources that will make the dollar more important than the relationship. And art being my relationship being my most prevalent form of art, I realize that in my house, in my home, in my heart, is the most important thing. But the reason that I said this year that I can't give away any more crochet stuff is because no matter how great I feel when I give somebody something that I've made because I thought about them and I don't want anything from it, everything that went into that cost money.
Mhm.
And I cannot, in this capitalist society, pretend that that's not the truth. I don't care how asinine I find it. I don't care how frustrating I find capitalism. I don't care how annoying I find patriarchy. They are the driving force of the society that I live in. They are the rules of the matrix. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I feel. It doesn't matter how many intellectual conversations I have with my
Mhm.
girlfriends, and we know that this is bullshit. At the end of the day, we all are going to go clock into work after we're done talking about how much bullshit it is, because it runs the society. And I think that is how you develop and you're able to have happiness in the matrix. You play by the rules, and you don't let the rules take your spirit away. And when you get off of work, you create art. As soon as I clock out, and you see it in real time on my
Mhm.
social media. As soon as I clock out, I put my ears on and I go right into working. I put my flower crown on. I go right into working, because that has to be more important to me than what I call my debt to society. The
Mhm.
hours a day that I spend working my 9 to 5, the 6 hours I feel the 6 years that I spent being a middle school education, a special education teacher, I feel that those years where I was head set and locked into a career, that was my debt to capitalist society. Me going to a 4-year university and studying abroad and being a straight A student and being a great face for the university, that was my debt to capitalist
Mhm.
society. And I see that as a means to an end, but the most important thing to me is my art, and I want to get to a place where I'm so abundant in their society. I've played their rules so well that I can
Mhm.
play for free. Because if I ever am blessed to be a millionaire, billionaire, they're gonna try to find a way to debunk me, because I'm gonna be showing up to communities of women and giving
Mhm.
them money, and I'm not gonna want anything for it. And I know by their rules that's a tax write-off. So you still can't tell me that I can't do it, because you guys
Mhm.
go do it to your homeboy's company, and you go do it to your golf buddies, golf, their golf field, and you do these
Mhm.
things that are going to be tax write-offs that keep the economy saturated in a way that works for you. Well, I've taken time to learn your rules, and now I'm going to play your game, and I'm going to win your game, but I'm not going to circulate the money the way you want me to, because that was why you created the game, right? You created the game so you can circulate money the way you want to. Great. Now I'm going to show creators how to do the same.
And yes, exactly. I love that. The truth is, we all have an involuntary relationship with money. It
Hmm.
is not a voluntary relationship, and we can't judge people for their relationship. And that is why I am spending these next few weeks discussing it, so that people can know that while we all have a relationship with it and we're forced to, we can dictate the terms on how we navigate that relationship. We can create our own boundaries and our own plan on how we operate our relationship with money.
Yes, ma'am. And that's really where I am. I want to first walk the steps on my own so it makes sense to me. And then I want to be able to give it to as many people in my network as I can.
Exactly. So this just provokes another question for me. How do you feel about finance coaches?
You know what? I think coaches of all kind. I think maybe because I'm a life coach and people are always like, "What do you do?" I think coaches of all kind are very important. I think we underestimate um, the foundation of a lot of people's character. A
Mm,
lot of people were not raised in environments that make them feel secure in even their own decision making from day to day. And if there is a person who needs a coach for finances, I coach people through living everyday life. There
mhm,
are people who I have conversations with that they're like, I was at work today and I had to call out an hour early and I'm feeling a lot of shame about it. And I sit and talk to them for hours saying, it's okay. I want you to be present in a moment and understand that you need it yourself. And this is a person who can logically tell me I was sick. I needed to leave work early. I didn't want to get anybody else sick. They can write down the facts, but there is still something inside of their head that is telling them that they are not right and they are
mhm.
unwell for it. And so, if I am necessary as a person to coach a person through doubting themselves with day-to-day decisions, and I absolutely believe that a financial coach is necessary when restructuring your relationship with money, especially for people of color in this country.
I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. I've learned so much. I haven't had an official finance coach, but just people I know that share knowledge and resources with me. I've learned so much to be, I don't want to say in abundance, but honestly, yes. I have the privilege of telling my daughter, "No, we are not rich, but we have enough for what we want and
Mhm,
need." We do. We do. Of
mhm,
course, there are bigger things that we want that we're working up to, but having the knowledge and the foresight to
mhm.
even plan for that is wealth to me.
I love that. I love that.
So I know a lot of people, a lot of artists. I love artists. I love them. I'm a magnet for them, and I know a lot of artists always want the hype. So many want the Grammys and the Oscars and to be recognized. How do you feel about validation in art?
Um, it's so funny because I am such a validating person. I think a lot of people would think that I love being doted on. I'm a Leo sun, so most people think it, right? It feels so weird to hear. I'm getting better with it. I love self validation. I think I've fallen so deep in love with self validation that the world validation is almost like, oh, where did that come from? But
Mhm,
I think it's so necessary to validate all forms of art because people we live in a world where people will hate you just for the sake of hating something.
mhm,
And so I think it is so necessary not only to validate art, but to validate artists. And so I have stopped refusing validation and compliments because there was a time in my life where I was like, no, it's okay. Like I'm working hard. I'm not there yet. I tried to do a lot of pushing away from that validation of my art and things of that nature, and I realized that that is not only not healthy for me, it is it's not healthy for the world around me, and it's not good for the person who probably was nervous as hell to come talk to my crazy tail anyways, to come and say, I love what you're doing, and for me to only like swat it away. I think that there are a lot of people living in this world who are very upset about the lack thereof validation that they're getting or lack thereof support that they're getting, but they don't take enough time to reflect on their relationship with support. When people do give you support, you are kind of mean to those people because of the lack thereof. And as a result of that, a lot of us have stopped getting validation in our art because you don't know if you're going to get somebody that's going to say thank you or you're going to get somebody to say, I know. And
mhm,
so I'm hoping that we get more free about validating art. And I hope artists, I want to speak to you specifically. I know that you're still working. I know that you're on the grind. I know that what you're accomplishing right now doesn't even amount to what your dreams are, but take the wins. take the kudos, take the validation. Don't swat it away. Don't swat it away as a form of self-motivation. You can motivate yourself in other ways. On those hard days, you're going to need that compliment. So take it,
Mhm.
put it in your back pocket. You deserve it.
I love that. When it comes to art, I'm a poet, and now somehow I'm a dancer, and and now I'm speaking. But all of my art, I've choreographed dances for myself. I've written poems, written essays, written monologues and freestyle novels, all for myself because I was taught to make money and that art doesn't really make it.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I'm finding is when I share my art, it sounds so cliche. It feels better than money. It feels like something different. And it just pushes me into other paths that somehow do profit in all facets. It's And I just need people to realize, thank and recognize those small local people who are recognizing you, because that is how you propel to reach a standard of life that you probably haven't carved out for yourself, but that's the standard that your soul wants and affirms.
Yes, I tell people there is a SpongeBob moment for all things in life. The SpongeBob moment for right now is, if you saw that episode where he was in a match with, I think it was, he was in a match with Mermaid Man, and
Mhm,
Mermaid Man made like 1,000 freaking burgers, and SpongeBob made this one perfectly crafted Krabby Patty, and he like tucked the burger in with the cheese, and he was so cute.
mhm,
And he won not because he was able to rival the machine, right? Even we think about movies like Good Burger, we think about movies like Barbershop.
mhm.
This message is always there. We are never going to be able to rival the machine. That's why I'm grateful that there is no machine that can create crochet handmade goods. If you see somebody with something crocheted, it happened with someone's hands, with human hands. And I fear for the day that they find a machine that can do that. But even when it comes to dancing, even when it comes to working, whatever you do, we will never be able to beat the machine, but the machine will never be able to be a beating heart. Follow your passion. Follow the thing that makes your heart beat, because there is always success on the end of that. So I love that you said that.
It's so true. I am learning as a late bloomer. I am a late bloomer. I have never really stepped into my creative passions because of how I was raised to make money. But now that I am, I I'm getting so much more. I'm getting all of these other things that I felt I lacked
Mm,
just because I'm stepping out and showing myself me, not just my writing skills or my skills with math and data analysis, but me.
yes.
And I'm feeling so much more fulfilled and even receiving profit
Mhm.
from that, receiving networking. And I try to tell the creatives in my world, definitely don't discount the people who support you.
Yes.
The people who support you right now, who look you in the face and support you right now.
Yep. And I think that sometimes, and that's why we have to, I love that even though a lot of people get angry at like the age of podcasting, I love that podcasting is opening up our eyes to having more conversations. Because when people take to the internet and they say nobody supports me, and it breaks the hearts of the few people that are supporting them, while I understand the argument, right, of the people that are supporting them, like this is hurting me, we also
Mhm.
have to understand that, like, the brain attaches to negative things naturally before it does positive. So it's not that that person doesn't know that we love them. It's not that that person doesn't know that we support them. It's just that even with our support, the whole of the lack thereof hurts. And I
Mhm.
think that we need to find a way to have a conversation where those people are able to express the hurt of the lack thereof while still being able to express the appreciation to us. And then sometimes, as the local people that are appreciating them, we have to just like remember that it's not always about us.
Mhm.
And if they are publicly expressing that nobody is supporting them, and they feel that way right now because they've probably come in contact recently with someone who wasn't supporting them, sometimes we just got to let them rock, because sometimes they need a moment to vent and be human.
Mhm.
It's not that they're trying to discredit us. It's not that they have to, because nobody deserves to give us a disclaimer every time they speak about their isolated situation in their life. And that brings me to my question of, do we help people because we really want to help them, or do we help people because we want to be acknowledged for helping them? And that changed my relationship with money as well, because I found that I was given to people financially that I just wanted to be able to say that I gave to financially. I didn't really care about giving to them, and it showed in the way that I expected things from them. She
Mm.
better not have no attitude with me as much money as I loan her. Why do you care that much? If you care that much, stop giving her money, because she has a right to get money from you today and become a different person tomorrow and not want to speak to you. And that is not something that you get to hold over her head for the rest of your life. And so I had to change that relationship that I had with money and check myself and stop using money as a tool to discredit people and what they're not doing, because people come to us in their most vulnerable moments when they come to ask us for money or resources
Mhm.
or things
Mhm.
like that. And if you are giving it to them, but you also giving them a lecture and you're talking down to them, bro, they might as well have to just stuck it out and been broke and figured it out the next time. Like, it is so abusive to think that you can hold something over a person's head just because you have financial capital over them.
It really perverts relationships. And I want us to get to a place where money doesn't pervert our relationships, where we are giving our labor, our time, our money and resources to people because we really want to pour into someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that I made a quote about that. People are burnt out on being nice because it's coming from a place, a self-serving place. It's
Yep.
not coming from wanting to actually pour into someone. There's so many people I've given to that I don't speak to anymore
Mm-hmm.
at all. I don't know how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I don't care, like I don't care about them.
But I just
I,
don't know.
I don't know, and I'm at peace. I know that at that moment they came to me and I did what I was called to do.
Yep.
And
And that.
they don't owe me anything. I don't look like, "Oh, this person, I gave this person this and they went and did this to me." No, everything happens as it's supposed to.
Yep.
And I know I'm being authentic. So because I'm being authentic, I can't have any regrets. I can't have any remorse. There may be some lessons,
Mm-hmm.
but no animosity. I don't have any animosity.
Same.
Everyone was operating as they were meant to.
Same. I even said that about my situation. I was like, everybody was trying to survive. And this was the way that both of us tried to survive. And our tactics for survival resulted in a disconnect. And that's okay. I am still praying for the greater good of every person I've ever disconnected from, whether it was over money or a situation that derived from money. Because at the end of the day, everybody is just trying to survive.
And I don't give money that kind of power. I just
Yeah.
don't.
Yep.
And we are coming up on the end of time, but I do want to slip one question in because I know you're partnered and you are loved.
Thank
Um,
you. Yes.
how does collaborating financially in a relationship with money, what is your philosophy on it?
Um, my philosophy on it is probably a very unpopular one. But I am also not yet legally married, so it might change. But right now, my philosophy on it is we take care of the home unit, but then we also handle our financial situations on our own. My partner is a father, and I am
Mhm,
not a biological parent. And so our finances look differently separately. And I don't get to tell him how to do that because I don't know his experience. And in the same vein though, because I know it's like it's just a given. If he's responsible for him and two other people and I'm only responsible for me, then it comes out as me maybe having access to more funds on a day-to-day basis because nobody else is begging for it from me. I have to remind myself that I am not obligated, because of the love that I have for him, to put myself in any crazy financial situations to accommodate for the things that just happen when it comes to raising children. But
mhm,
also because of that, and because I do love him, and because we don't want to just be like, that's your business, that's not my business, I have found that I will gladly and willingly take on more of the joint relationship with money or the joint situation, because I know that his individual situation has a little bit more restrictions than mine. My
mhm,
individual situation is more so my mother, my family, people, my friends, these people are not obligations to me whatsoever. So I can always say no to them.
Mm-hmm.
Has two lives that he created. He can't always say no to them. And
Right.
when he needs to not be able to provide to the collective, to be able to provide to those children, I am always 100% for that. And because he's created two homes with women that are not me, but they are still going to be a part of his life for the rest of his life. And one of those women is not in a relationship. A lot of the finances that come into his life because of her being a single woman, being
Mm-hmm.
the primary parent of his child, I'm going to always be on board for him helping out that household, because at the end of the day, that is still a household that he created. Like we want to talk about broken families, we want to talk about these things, but like he has a home. No,
Mm-hmm.
not his home. I understand that. And people are always like, don't say that, Harley. That's your man. That's your house. I get that. I know where I'm at. I know
Mm-hmm.
who I am. I've been doing this for a very long time, but that is still a part of his family. Every milestone that he celebrates with his creation, no matter if I'm standing right there next to him, nobody will have a tighter connection with him watching that boy walk across the stage but her. They created that life together. And so she's going to be a part of his life, and she's going to be a part of his financial relationship with money. I don't want her to be a part of my relationship with money, but I'm not going to make the relationship that he has with her and his money hard for him. So
Mm-hmm.
I will take on, what's going on in the house. But for the most part, I like to keep it separate. Even when I dated people that didn't have children, I'm big on just like, don't mess up the home unit, but do what you want to do with your money. I'm gonna do what I want to do with my money, because number one, I'm very stubborn and I don't like people to tell me what to do. And so I don't like to tell other people what to do.
And you guys had that conversation and it works. And I love how I asked you about money and you started talking about relationship.
Yep.
You started talking about connections, responsibilities, because that is really how we should think about it, in my opinion. In my opinion, I feel once you come look at all the intrinsic values surrounding it, it really changes how you talk about it, how
Yep.
you think about it. It changes your whole philosophy
Yep.
because it's not the center. It's a means to an end.
Yep. And that was how I had to move it. I had if you think about like a diagram,
Mhm.
for a very long time it was like this circle is life, and it was like money, and then branching
Mm.
out to relationships. I've taken money, put it out there, and put its own little circles around it. Inside of my circle now is relationships, connections, grace. Because if I have space to have a conversation with you, if I have space to create a relationship with you, that in itself is, like we have been talking about this whole conversation, is currency. And so if I find a way to take that and actually create currency, especially in this day and age where positive relationships or negative relationships equate to money. If
Mhm.
we turn on the camera and we're having a conversation, that can become money. And so I want us to realize that there has been a shift, and the shift can create a lot less stress for us and can allow us to
Mhm.
do things one thing at a time. Because I think that's another thing, is money makes you want to do it all at once.
Yep.
Can't do it all at once.
That's perfect and leads me into our last segment because we are down to about 5 minutes. But I definitely wanted you to talk your shit. So
Period. Thank you.
let's introduce our next segment, something to sip on. All right. So when it comes to money, success, and art, what is something you want to tell our audience and our listeners, something for them to sip on?
Um, Reciprocity, that one word. Make whatever you do with your money, with your energy, with your life reciprocal. Give if you want to receive. Please do not sit in a hole thinking that something that somebody is just going to give to you. Pour into the world, and karma is never going to miss you.
I love it. That is the something to sip on, pour into the world, and you will never lack. That is the path to abundance. Harley, I want to thank you so very much for being on here and for speaking your truth and being so honest and transparent with us today. Before we go, I do want you just to let people know where they can find you.
Awesome. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for having me. This is your first episode, so shout out to you. Take a deep breath. It's over with, first of all. proud of you. I am just proud of the woman that I've watched you just be in the short time that I've known you, and I can't walk away from here without doing that and letting you know how beautiful and amazing you are.
Thank you.
You guys can follow me everywhere at Harley Hendrixx 6. It's spelled just like my name is, and you put the number 6 behind it. I am on all social media platforms under that name. My crochet company is called Ganelle's Crafts, named after my beautiful big sister, who I live in honor of every single day. And so I thank you, Ganelle, for your influence on my life, and I thank you on the way that you have brought me and my family closer together. Losing her has made us, man, something different. And so if you want to purchase something handmade from my family to yours, you can definitely follow us at Instagram on Ganelle's Crafts. I'll give Globe the links for that so you guys can be able to get the correct spelling. Other than that, I ain't hard to find, so find me. And if you can't find me, ask your friends about me. They probably know me.
Yes, and we will be detailing all of her information in the show notes. Trust me, her crocheting, it's made with love, and you can tell. You can tell. You don't want to miss out on that. And I just wanted to let the audience know next week, what we're brewing on is financial independence. And if you were inspired by anything that we said today, you can share your own entries or your own thoughts at verbalteaparty@gmail.com. Also, you can follow and keep up with us at Verbal Tea on Instagram, Verbal Tea Time on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you guys so much for being part of our Verbal Tea Party, and I hope to see you guys next week.